No technical difficulties. Yes, we are live, I believe. Yep, yeah, we are. We are live. Welcome to another episode of Darian Talks UTSA. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous about having some technical difficulties because of what happened last week, but no, we get to start on time. Okay, nice. We got a lot of comments already. I hope you guys were able to see some of the clips and some of the talking points, primarily around some of the things Coach Traylor was talking about in the AAC Media Day, with just talking about UTSA football in general. Obviously, fall camp is about to start next week, so that is super exciting for everybody. But yeah, there is a lot of talking points that I want to hit that Coach Traylor talked about it. So I'm really excited about today's episode because there's not only do we have comments and stuff already in the chat, but there is just a lot of talking points that I want to bang on about as we get into the show. I want to create some banners for those topics. And you know what? I'm going to shout out JJ Perez because I wouldn't watch the interviews and the discussions around UTSA, but I did not timestamp or time mark anything. And I just knew if I check JJ's page, he's going to have everything kind of broken down to some of the most important points. And a lot of it came from his interview directly with Coach Traylor as well. So thanks to JJ for that because it made my prep for this discussion today a lot easier, right? So I think before I start jumping into all of the comments, because they are starting to fill up, which is really nice. Uh, Let me start with I want to talk specifically about the quarterback position and Coach Trailers, and I'm sure there's going to be discussions in the comments and questions about it, but I want to start with the quarterback position because there's just a lot to talk about based on the things that he said. Number one, uh, I have heard from people close to the situation that regardless of what Coach Traylor says, the guy that they are leaning toward in the halls of UTSA is Eddie McCown. Oh, I'm sorry, I mixed them up. Owen McCown. But what was interesting about what Coach Traylor said in these media days, he is still holding firm and consistent that there is actually a quarterback battle going on. He name dropped Owen McCown. He name dropped Eddie Lee Marburger. And he basically said those two guys have separated themselves from the other guys, right? Which is also something that I have been hearing conflicting thoughts about some of that. Some of the things I've heard things about, um, I've heard things about from different folks about Demetrius Davis being someone who is going to be in a position to enter that quarterback battle and maybe even be one of the guys, maybe even be the backup going into the season. I've heard things like that. I've heard he's looked good in the summer. I've heard that he's learning the playbook very well and things like that. I've also heard there's a lot of folks that are in support of Brandon Tennyson. Not only, there's a few people that I've talked about him specifically to, but I've started to hear his name just a little bit more. Um, and there's just all these theories, right, that I've been hearing about the quarterback position. And I just think it's very interesting that Coach Traylor is still saying there is a quarterback battle still going on here. In my opinion, I do think he has to do that to some degree because I do think, hey, you know what? You want to always go into the season with two ready-made quarterbacks. And let's say McCown is the guy, and you got Marburger, who may not be in the prime position, or who may not be like his first choice, but is someone that he still thinks he can win games with and still can have a relatively, or not just have a successful season with. You want to always go to a season with two guys if you can. So some of this could be a little bit of wordplay. And I'm sure that some of it is. But here's what I will say. To a lot of folks who were saying, I know there's a lot of folks who were like, who've been hell bent on the fact that it's going to be on McCown regardless of the situation. There's a whole group of you guys out there who are saying like, "Hey, he led us to a bowl game." To me, that would, or to you guys, that is enough for him to guarantee a start come game one. Here's why I think it is interesting that, and I think it's actually a pretty good thing that he is still saying that it's a quarterback battle, because it kind of goes back to some of my overall thoughts and comments on McCown, Marburger, and both guys. Although we seen McCown got the better of the cameos that both guys had last year, when you really look at it, they were both thrown in very, very bad situations for a inexperienced young quarterback to get thrown in. Number one, they both had to deal with that. Number two, although McCown did show the better work, I will say that it's still a small enough sample size to where I don't know if I'm going to hang my hat on that just yet. And I feel like that's the perspective that Coach Traylor is probably taking. He's probably going to start game one with Owen McCown, right? But who knows what those first couple games are going to look like? Let's say that experience is not great. Let's say it doesn't go well. Well, guess what? You have a guy that you're going to have a quarterback there that is still going to be in the position of where, hey, you know what? Maybe it is Marburger. Maybe he gets to start game two, or gets, he'll start to get his run in game 3 or 4, something like that. Like I said before, man, these position battles are going to start. As soon as camp start, they're going to have position battles are going to take place probably the first 2-3 weeks of camp, right? Then guys are going to start settling in. Some positions in particular, they're still going to be battling up to the game, but generally in about 3 weeks, coaches kind of know who they can trust and who they're comfortable with. When you look at that quarterback position, maybe a guy is going to be winning, right, in practice. If he comes out and stinks it up that first game, that quarterback position is so important. It's so important that things can go downhill very fast. We see this stuff in the NFL. We see this stuff in college. We've seen this stuff for years. And a lot of the times it comes after a drop top, box office quarterbacks leaves, just like our situation. Think about when UT lost Vince Young, or was it Colt McCoy? When they lost Colt McCoy, they went years till they could find a formidable quarterback that they were comfortable with, right? I mean, I kind of feel like they just got to that point. But I mean, they're an easy example. But when you just think about trying to introduce new quarterbacks into your team and have them come in and take over the offense, where you've had someone that's been in that space and has been that focal point for years, it is very, very tough transitioning and being able to produce the same offensively with the new guy. And I think him saying this does not mean that we're gonna see both quarterbacks in week one. To me, what it's saying is, I'm going to go in with this one guy, but I want him to, number one, know that, hey, I'm going to have to be on my stuff because this other guy is right on my heels. And then number two, if that doesn't work out, you already have a 1B plan, right? You have a 1A. This might be your 1A. This other guy may be your 1B. So I think that's the situation that Coach Traylor's trying to put himself in. And I also think like those first 2 to 3 games, those first 2 games for sure, the first two games for sure, is still going to be a time where whoever that number one guy is, which is probably going to be McCown, he's going to go in and have to strut his stuff and basically, put the quarterback battle to bed. He may get that opportunity to put the quarterback battle to bed. And we'll see. What I do not want to see, though, is we go out to Kennesaw State and we go Eddie Lee for 2 series, and then or Owen McCown for 2 series, and then Eddie Lee comes in for 2 series. I don't want to see none of that. And I don't think Coach Traylor's going to do that. I know he's joking around with some of that, but I just thought one of my biggest takeaways before I get into all the questions was this quarterback battle from what he's saying is still on. I'll take him at his word for it, although I'm hearing slightly different. And I just think he wants to have 2 guys ready. And whoever that number one guy is, they're going to have to prove themselves in the live games before he says, that's my guy. That's what's going to have to happen. All right. I'll get into some of these questions as I roll through that first topic. All right. So shout out to Mike. Mike always gets in early. This was an hour before start time. Shout out to Mike, man. That's my guy. He says, I feel like we're coming into this season as confident as we've ever been. That's interesting considering the questions at quarterback. Coach seems to be embracing the favorite role. So here's what I'll say. I don't know if I'm a little shocked at the confidence that everybody has going into the season. Just to give you guys a general reaction, this question really tees me up for the second topic I want to talk about, and that's UTSA landing in that number 2 spot from the preseason polls in the AAC. Right, folks expect us to finish second, or we have the second best chance of winning the conference based on those polls, and stuff like that. Which meaning it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just like off all the media people in the AAC that cover football. This is sort of what they think UTSA is going to look like, or how the conference is going to play out. So you can take that with a grain of salt. But I'm a little surprised. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I genuinely feel like we did reload very well based on what we can see on paper. We reloaded very well. We don't know how these recruits in it, how everybody's going to translate to the field. That's something we do not know yet. Let's be very clear. We talk about recruiting classes. I think I put a tweet up about this a couple days ago, or maybe that was yesterday. It looks great on paper what we brought in, but I am very hesitant to heap these pretty big expectations on UTSA. Although I kind of have, because I'm like, that we should win 8 games or something like that. I think I said that a few weeks ago. I do think the schedule is set up for us to do that. But anyway, what I'm saying is, people are talking about conference titles. People are talking about, possibly being in the college playoff. I'm like, that's a tall order. That's a tall order, ladies and gentlemen. That's a tall order. Like, considering our situation at quarterback, and it's not that I am not confident at all in the team. I am confident that we're going to be formidable. There are just so many unknowns. There's so many unknowns. When I think about what I have been super excited about coming into the season, I think about coming into last year or the year before that, after we won our first conference title. That's the most confident I've ever been coming into the season. I think from a depth talent standpoint and what we brought in from the transfer portal, I think we've done the best that we've ever done at that. So I do understand a lot of the excitement starting to build around the season, but I don't know. I'm not so ready to jump onto some of these, very, very, very high expectations that some people are putting us on under right now. All right, let's see. We got a couple live chats. You guys get priority, or super chats. Shout out to Frank. Appreciate the super chats. Super chats go a long way in helping us out. They're going to get priority 1000%. Appreciate you, Frank. These are and Kermit. Appreciate both of you guys for this. These things help the show out a lot. So appreciate you guys. He says, appreciate the content. Keep it coming. Kermit says, excited that coach talked about the first 4 games much more seriously now that the college football playoff is 12 teams. I appreciate this, Kermit, because this is exactly what I was about to talk about to go into. Or it's kind of comes back to or it loops into what I was saying before. I like his perspective on this, right? Because he's not talking about an expectation of making that. But I love his perspective from like, hey, this is a realistic thing if everything goes right, right? These aren't throwaway games in the beginning of the year. These games are not as experimental as they have been in the past. These games are very serious now, right? These first 4 games are very serious. Points differential in these games are going to matter. When we play Kennesaw State, a team that we are expected to beat, right? We need to blow them out the park, right? So that doesn't mean whenever we go up 35-3, we take the starters out at the beginning of the third quarter. We might got to keep those guys in all the way into the fourth quarter. And then we start to usher in some of our younger talent to make sure we create as much separation as possible. Because at some point, if we are eligible for something like this, that committee is going to look back and say, hey, what did this team do against, this other team at this particular time? Did they take care of business the way they were supposed to? It also amplifies even more the importance of that Texas State game in week 2. I'm gonna tell you something right now. College, the playoff is over if we don't beat Texas State. I can tell you that right now. We'll know in week 2 if we're going to actually be in consideration for that, because if we don't beat Texas State, that's over. And honestly, what would even make it better, we'd have to beat them, pretty soundly, right? So, I think what was also kind of cool about Coach Traylor, he's also a realist, because he also talked about, hey, you know what? He didn't like the schedule. He said one of the negative things about the schedule is 3 of our first 5 games is on the road. And when you're ushering in a new quarterback, that's going to be difficult. And I think he was transparent and honest about, you know what, we're going to have to lean on our defense. We're going to have to lean on on our running game to take pressure off those guys. It's something that we've been talking about, all summer and all offseason, about how that running game, that 300 monster that we got in that backfield, is going to be even more important than they have been, because we have the situation we have at quarterback. So anyway, there's a lot going on, but I do think those first 4 games are not going to be as experimental as they were in the past. 100%. Let's get my members. Let me see. I'm going to get the members up next here. Remember, guys, link is in the description on how to join as a member, or you can join as a sponsor of the community as well. That one comes with extra perks. We only have one right now, and I'm going to definitely give them a special shout out here in a little bit. But if you want to join, if you want priority on the live chats and things like that, drop a super chat or become a member. Awesome. Harry Austin says, my question, are the expectations higher for UTSA than you expected with losing Frank Harris and all the leadership from last? Absolutely. Absolutely. I won't go too deep because I talked about this in some of the previous questions and things that I was talking about before. But yeah, I do 100% think the expectations are a little high. I am not at the level to where I'm saying, hey, my expectation is for the runners to win the AAC championship this year. Right. I don't know if I'm there yet because of the quarterback situation. You're going to win and lose games with your quarterback. It's just a fact. Just a fact. And I haven't seen enough. Now, I could go through the first 2 games, right, and see that the quarterbacks are playing well. The quarterback is playing well, and I could change my opinion on that. But until I see, them perform and have composure and be able to be accurate and make the right calls and do their thing when the live bullets are flying, especially in that Texas State game, because of how hostile that environment's going to be, how high pressure that's going to be, and the fact that it's a rivalry game that's going to actually mean something. So until I see us and how we perform and react to that, and how our quarterback performs in that environment, listen, if we pass that test there, then whenever we roll into conference, I'm going to have my chest pumped out 100%. But right now, I am just sort of like, hey, a good season for me is 8 games. And we kind of go from there. So I do think the expectations are a bit high, but I get it. Harry says, for me personally, would have liked them to be ranked a little lower out the gate. Okay, so you're talking about the preseason polls. Yeah. But like I said, I said this in a tweet as well. That is just a view and a perspective of what Coach Traylor has built. People around the conference recognize the threat that we are, regardless of who we have on that field, because of our head man. That right there, if you want to think about what a coach and how a coach can impact the program, impact the team, and be that leader that resonates not with just the team, but people around the team and people who are watching. That's the guy. Prime example. Prime example. And he didn't do this like he's had a good reputation coming into UTSA, right? But think about how his level has risen since he's been here at UTSA. Since he's led us to the success he has. That's helped his notoriety and what people believe in him. But it's also put UTSA on a different level as well in terms of the recruits we can bring in terms of guys wanting to stay and play for him. We're going to talk about this later, but we had the defensive lineman Joe, I think it was Joe Evans, he turns down, I think that was him, but he turned down $675,000 to stay here and play at UTSA. Coach Traylor seen the contract and watched that contract start at $300,000, go up to $500,000, go up to $600,000, and then by the end of that night was at $675,000. That dude said, "No, I want to stay here and play under you. I have an opportunity to get to the NFL." When you think about that, and we talked about that a lot with some of the other guys that it's a name that we bring up almost every podcast whenever we're talking NIL. Zachary Franklin, right? We look at that situation, and he probably had a deal or something like that as well, and it didn't go work out for him. And I've talked about some of these guys. I think Trey Moore is doing a fantastic job. I don't know how Cam, what is his last name? Our corner that went over to Oregon. I'm drawing a blank of his name right now, but I don't know what his situation is like in Oregon. I hope the best for him, but I look at that situation and I say, man, like it's risky to take that step. And I think this guy made the right decision. And as Coach Traylor said, I'll echo those same sentiments. I hope that he gets rewarded on the next level with the pay that he deserves. Because I think he made a very good decision. Back up to Mike here. He says, you could tell Coach has his eye on the college football playoff spot. The revenue that would pay out would be tremendous. He talked about how all games were important for the playoff position, not just conference game. Absolutely, is some of what we talked about. It's obviously important because of what it'll do for him personally, but what it'll do for the school, what it will mean for UTSA. It'll put us on a different level. And yes, the revenue would be nice, especially whenever we start to get, we start approaching the whole revenue sharing of paying athletes and that sort of thing, and the pressure that could take off some of the NIL collectives so they can be more strategically used and utilized throughout the seasons and to retain players and to pull in players. So yeah, man, all of those things are going to help us 100%. Let me surf down here to see if we have any more member. Yep, we do. Members got first. Shout out to Albert, new member. He was he joined last week. Shout out to Albert. Albert says, I have access to 6 tickets, but I'm not buying any. It's just over 100 per ticket for Texas. I think he might be talking to someone. I'm sure I'll get to it. Max says, yo, we early. Shout out to Max, 5:28. He was 30 minutes early. Shout out to Max for this one. He says, question opinions on UTSA being ranked second in AAC polls. A lot of people don't agree with it, but I'm quite enthusiastic to see we can get success post the Frank Harris era. Talked about this ad nauseum just now. It's been a lot of talk, so I won't go too deep into it. But listen, I think it's a bit too high, but like I'm not mad at it. I think it also tells a great story. Good one here. I was going to comment on this one as well. You guys are hitting it in the chats today. Excuse me. He says, Nicholas Booker Brown and Corey Lucius officially no longer part of the program. Unfortunate, but clutch for us to get the Oregon D-line transfer right after that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I said this before, and it's something I want to reiterate. When I was at UTSA, I think there was a situation where there was a situation where there were a group of I don't it happened so long ago. I don't think it matters, but we had a full staff of corners. We had a full roster of corners, and every corner got cut except Crosby and myself at that time. And it's because there was some thievery that happened, and UTSA does not play nice with. They don't. You don't get second chances for that. Listen, and some other schools you hear about things all the time, and guys kind of get slaps on the wrist. Yeah, no, all those guys got axed. So when I seen this situation, I'm just like, yeah, UTSA, they're not going to come back. It's unfortunate. It sucks, but I knew as soon as I seen what the charges were, and when the story came out a little bit more, showing like, yeah, in fact that they did do some of this and the whole story behind it. Yeah, there was. I hate it for them. It's unfortunate, but we move on, unfortunately, and I wish those guys the best. Let's see. Frank is asking folks what sections are they choosing for the UT game. Make sure y'all give him a response. Kermit says some people are saying that Brandon Tennyson is making a strong push for being QB3 and even QB2. Yeah, listen, man. Brandon Tennyson has a lot of people that are hoping for him and or in his corner. I'm in his corner too, man. Like I don't. Here's the thing. I am all for guys getting an actual opportunity to get on the field and prove themselves. I think far too much. I've seen it happen at UTSA as well. You have guys come in and they don't ever really get a chance, right? To for one reason or another, they don't ever really get a chance to actually start. Like I've seen guys come in and like a coach has pretty much said that they won't ever play here, so they're just kind of going to be. Listen, there's a guy. You know what? I don't think anybody would care for me sharing this. Y'all remember Dalton Stern? So Dalton Stern came in, and did Dalton walk on? I think Dalton may have walked on. I'm not sure, but like he was one of the guys, and I'm using him because he was a hugely like a crazy success story. But he was one of those players on the roster at the time, super athletic, had just a lot of natural ability. But I don't know if the coaches at the time, at least when I was there, was giving him a very, very serious shot at kind of doing his thing. But I'll say like what he did was very, very. Listen, I tip my cap to him, dude. He's some of the year he had, like his last year. Like you want to talk about somebody who was electrifying to watch. He was fun to watch. But I just remember those days where Dalton was a scout team receiver for us. Like Dalton was the main scout team receiver who was like running routes and giving us looks before the games. Right? The coaches had no real I don't know that they had already kind of deemed, where his ceiling was, and his ceiling wasn't going to be, one of the prominent quarterbacks or one of the prominent players on the team. And I just remember him like just progressively starting to get better on the scout team and just like low key start lighting us up. He'd like start lighting us up, and then like, we move on and things like that. And I'm just watching and I'm like, well, Dalton, I'm hearing like Dalton's doing very well. Like he's given a shot, he's given an opportunity, and boom, he blossomed into, one of the best quarterbacks that's come through through the program. So anyway, the reason I say that is there is some like, hey, you got to stick with it and trust the process and your opportunity will come. But some coaches and sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle of guys coming in. You can get lost in promises and things like that. And what I want for Brandon Tennyson and all the quarterbacks and all the players is I want them to get an actual opportunity to go in and compete for a QB2 spot or compete for the quarterback job and get an actual opportunity to move up. That's what you hope for. That's what you want for. But I know that kid has a lot of support, and we'll see what happens. Caleb says, when does the tickets for UT and Texas State go on sale? Not sure. He says for non-donors, not sure at all. Already covered Alberts. Let's see. Kermit says, Coach Traylor said we got hit with some injuries over the summer that is leaving a certain position group a little thin. Any idea? I didn't catch that, and I don't know. I don't know about that. I'll do some digging to see if I can find out about that, but I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I probably wouldn't share it because you never know. I mean, we had a whole slew of Texas State folks on the show a few weeks ago. So like, I don't want to give any team any advantage, but I don't know. I don't know which group it is. 40K for home opener. I doubt it. I doubt it though. I doubt it. I don't know if our marketing efforts match that yet. I can't say that. Actually, it's been a lot better now, but I don't know if it's been a lot better, but I'm just seeing a lot more stuff. And it's probably because I've talked about it on my Twitter so much that my algorithm is like, hey, look, they are doing some UTSA marketing. I hope so. That would be great though. I know I'll be in the house for that. ATX is really excited to see Oscar play this year. I think it's safe to say he met his weight. Oh, he looks great, doesn't he? He looks great. That dude definitely put in the work. I think that much is obvious, and I'm excited for him, man. I think I personally think he's going to be utilized a little bit more coming into this season, especially with them putting a lot on his shoulders in terms of being a spokesperson for the team, being a leader of the team and leader of that offense and things like that. I think you're going to see UTSA lean on him a lot. He's going to be someone that we're going to target for third downs. We're going to target him up the seam and things like that. So I'm really excited to see what the weight loss has done for him and what it's going to do for his game. And I hope it is transformative for him in a positive way, and it increases his chance to be able to play on the next level. Dos Me's Tailgating says, I have a feeling quarterback transfer will work his way into QB1. A lot of people are saying that. You're not the only one. There's a lot of people in my DMs that are saying like, yo, some people are putting games like by game 3, game 4, it'll be him. And a lot of it, I think a lot of the points that have been brought to my attention has been Coach Traylor wants a running quarterback, a quarterback that's a lot more athletic than the ones we got. Although I will say that Coach Traylor did talk a little bit about how athletic Eddie Lee Marburger and Owen McCown are. He talked about that. He said he thinks that they're a lot more athletic than folks give him credit for. So it does kind of show that he wants a quarterback with some mobility and that can use his legs a little bit. That's tough. That can take a pop, take a hit, and actually make some plays for the team with their legs. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We will certainly have to see. Marcus Lambert says, good evening. Hope you're doing well, sir. 2 questions. Let's hear. Where's the CFB content? I don't know if a lot of people want to see that. That's why I haven't done it. And then number 2, will UTSA get AAU status soon? Will that impact how other conference view AAU status in terms of realignment? Am I true? What is AAU status? Like the major. Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if we will. I haven't kept up with that as much. But it would definitely play into. It would have something to do with the realignment piece. 100%. It's something that'll definitely be considered. While we have folks here, I did want to give a shout out to one of the sponsors of the community, Desert Dweller Sports Network. They have a 2024 football almanac that gives you a full preview of college football in general, everything that you need to know about college football to get you prepped for the season this year in 2024, and also NFL as well. They have a lot of other cool stuff in it as well. So make sure you guys check them out. Desert Dweller Sports Network. I have dropped their website to the almanac and the membership that they have in the description, and it's right here on your screen. So check them out. Shout out to those guys over there. They're really, really helpful. They're helping my brand and helping the podcast. And yeah, I'm happy to partner with those guys. So check them out whenever you get an opportunity to. All right, let's keep it rolling. Roadrunner Hype says they kept the Frank out of the bowl game secret. This quarterback battle could be smoke and mirrors as a strategic play on the part of the staff to keep the opponent DC to plan for both. I think they're going to have to plan for both regardless. But I do think you're right. All of that stuff is like that. I remember whenever there were certain position battles that was happening whenever I was there, and they were being vague about who we were going to see at that particular point in time. And yeah, there is gamesmanship on, especially in that first game, whenever you don't know what to expect, and there could see two guys. I'll say this too. They have to prepare for two guys regardless, because what if one guy comes in and stinks up the place? Well, guess what? If you got a quarterback battle, you're going to see that second guy come in if the first guy is stinking up the place, right? So I think both teams, at least the first two games, you'll for sure see both teams prep for two. 100%. Frank says, is there a dedicated section for UTSA fans for Texas State? I'm sure they're going to want to keep us all together. Let's see. As well for Texas. Yeah, I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be. Shout out to Frank again for leaving a super chat earlier. Really, really, really appreciate it. Shout out to Roadrunner Hype. Thank you, brother. He says, hey, yes, follow what he said. Don't forget to hit that like button. I forgot to do that today. Don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps out the channel, and it helps other people find this. So if you guys are here right now, smash that like button for your boy. ATX says, to be fair, our expectations for the team are more grounded in realities than Texas State's. So, okay. So are you saying that Texas State fans have higher expectations for Texas State than we have for UTSA? I'm going to assume that's the way you are. I'm assuming that's the way you are writing this. And what I'll say to that is, honestly, I'm not mad at their expectations for themselves. I do think it's a little delulu, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say it's delusional. I'll just say that I feel like they are probably going to be good, but I don't think they're going to be college football playoff good. Nah, can't see that. Agree. How is Texas State rated higher than UTSA and EA? I mean, look, bro, they quarterback's way heavy in that game on how a team operates, and their quarterback has a star under it. You do the math. You do the math. Cam Alexander. Yep, that's what I was talking about earlier. Shout out to y'all for helping me out there. Caleb Garcia says, what can we expect from the Oregon D lineman since he's been added so late in the cycle? You can expect him to probably not be a starter game one, but you can probably expect him to be worked into play if he's good enough, because we have a good defensive line. You know he's going to be in the rotation from probably the very beginning of the season. At that point, it's just going to be about what he produces and how he plays in those games and that'll dictate how much we see him, right? That's ultimately how it's going to go. Like, once you strap on that helmet and strap on that UTSA jersey, and that goes across your chest, your history at Oregon or Alabama or Texas Tech or UT or wherever you come from, A&M, LSU, yeah, that goes away. That goes away. So hopefully he comes in and he balls out and he can be a contributor for us. But that's sort of my expectations. He probably won't start, but he'll come in and he'll be someone who is going to be in the rotation early and could earn a starting spot early in the season. Dalton had one of the best runs in UTSA. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. But if you knew how Dalton came up in the game, bro, Dalton got it out the mud, bro. I respect Dalton so much. He got it out the mud, bro. That is no joke. No joke. Dalton, Josiah Davenport started the UTSA hype. Easy, bro. We were there too. All right. No, they did. They were drop top players. I joke. Can UTSA complete the O Gauntlet Challenge? We're the only school to place the 4 D1 schools with owl mascots. That'll be dope. That'll be dope. The owl gauntlet. Yeah, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. That'll be tight to like come back and reflect on if we are able to do that. Elijah Davis says, "Who'll be the new 210 players on offense?" Great question. This is tough because, man, that's a great question. So I would say one of the. This is going to be interesting, and I actually don't think one of the quarterbacks is going to get the job or to get 210. I would say you could pencil in a quarterback, but I don't think you can because if he's remaining consistent on his quarterback battle, if you grant one of those quarterbacks one of those numbers, excuse me, that would suggest that is the guy that he's going with. And I don't see him announcing a starter until the season. So I almost don't think one of them will get it. You could see JT Clark, depending on his situation, get one of them. You could see, I think Oscar's he's got 9. You could potentially see McEwen or runner to running, but that's a great question. I don't know. That's a great on defense. I would say Jamal Liggins got. I think you got one. It's going to be on the D line. I think we're going to have some D linemen with probably 2 of those numbers. And then you might get one of this. I don't know. That's a great question. I'd be curious to hear from you guys on who you think will get that 210, because some of those players will elect not to get it if they don't like the number. But I'd like to hear from y'all what y'all's thoughts are on who will get it. We got a member. Members get priority. Albert says Oscar Clark Liggins seems like I guess that could get the 210. Could be. Let's see. No Name says, did y'all pick up one of the interviews where Florida high school has NIL and Texas may be headed that way? I hope not, but what are y'all's thoughts? That is definitely going to come to Texas. 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Florida, I hate to say it, but Florida and Texas are a lot alike in a lot of ways. I don't want to get into some of the more obvious reasons, but yeah, we are a lot more cavalier about things from a regulatory standpoint than other countries or other states. So yeah, if Florida is already doing that, you can rest assured Texas will be right behind them. Any word on JT Clark? Yeah, so I think Coach Traylor's sentiments on that is sort of kind of what I was saying too. Is like he said no, I wasn't saying this. He said that he was in a better place than he was at this point last year. I think he talked about off-season surgery that he had, and he's a lot more healthier right now, but he didn't really give a timeline on what's expected of him and when we should expect to see him and those sort of things. So he didn't give that type of guidance as to if we're going to see him or not, or if we're going to see him early or not. But he was asked about it. So I just think they just want to see that kid healthy, and they want to see him be able to, like I said, man, you want to see, what people put their bodies or how people put their bodies on the line to play the game of football. And folks who don't play football don't understand what it does to your body. So at the end of the day, you just want to see that guy be able to live his, days without constant pain. And if that means he doesn't play, that means he plays very little. I'm all for it. I'm for his health, like I've said before. Look at our schedules. We have way tougher matchups than them. I'm assuming you're talking about us versus Texas State. Yeah, I would have to do a comparison. I'll get back to you on Twitter if you remind me about it. By the way, I almost forgot, guys. And this is going to be for y'all who stayed with me for a while. So, we didn't reach the milestone for me to double up the money, but I'm going to be giving away $100 in cash prizes today on the live chat. So for those of you who are here and want to participate, it's going to be at random. I'm going to have somebody else pick them. Drop your Venmo and Cash App handles in the chat. And yeah, we're going to give away some money because I like to do that. Yeah, give away some money. Have a little bit of fun. I almost forgot about that. And I'm surprised nobody reminded me, but shout out to y'all. I'm sure some people are only here to collect some dollars. But I hope that brought you in and you enjoy the show because we like to have fun. But anyway, as I said, drop your Cash App handle or Venmo handle in the live chat, and we'll get some money sent out today. And Pogo said, "Finally caught you. You caught me on a good day. You caught me on a good day live. So we'll go from there. Yeah, people getting paid today." And whenever I do this, I'm going to do this at the hour mark, is when I'm going to give the money out. So that's about 15 minutes to get all of your to get everything down in there. And then we go from there. Bro, shout out to Pogos. $20 for a super chat. I thank you so much, my friend. I truly do. That's huge. That's huge. That's huge, man. I really, 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 really appreciate that. Man, I do. I really, really appreciate that. I had to say it again. That's crazy, man. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Chosen One says, why won't UTSA charge fans to view a practice before? Listen, I tweeted about this. I talked. I can't believe I didn't bring this up. There's so many topics to get to this episode. I might end up going a little bit longer, depending on how many people stay. I remember last time at the hour mark, everybody dropped off. Literally 50% of the viewership dropped, which I can't blame you. But I'm sure people are going to be hanging around a little bit longer because we got money on the line this time. So why won't UTSA fans? Why won't UTSA? So listen, the NIL. I put a tweet out about Nebraska NIL. So I follow this NIL guy. I should give him a shout out. I need to find his. You know what? He's, to me, honestly, I don't even know this guy from anything, but I'm gonna share this guy with you guys, with this person. Dang it! I'll retweet him or something whenever I see him tweet again, because I'm drawing a blank on what his Twitter handle is. But he's really into the NIL marketing, the NIL space, like what's developing in NIL. And I get a lot of my NIL content from him, especially on things that are evolving in the space. And anyway, he likes to post creative ways that schools are raising money for NIL and raising money for the athletes. And one of the things that he posted was Nebraska, right? Nebraska hosted a spring game, hosted their spring game, and they charged $25. Why did I say spring game? Not spring game. They're hosting a practice for fall camp, and they're going to do a live practice, and they're going to charge $25 to get in there, right? And for me, and all of the proceeds are going to go back to the student athletes through the NIL collective. And to me, I'm like, okay, $25 is kind of steep, but I'm looking at it from a UTSA perspective. If you look at our situation at UTSA, right? If you just look at our situation at UTSA, right now, we have a position battle going on at the quarterback position that everybody is we talk about this position battle every single live chat because there's so many just questions about it. It's really intriguing. considering that type of thing going on, if I'm a UTSA marketing person, by the way, my degree was in marketing at UTSA. They need to holler at your boy. I'm not joking either. But anyway, um, if I'm looking at the marketing side though of this whole thing, if they marketed this right and positioned this right and like around some of the stuff that we have that's going on with this, I think we could potentially put 5,000 to 7,000 people, somewhere in a space where we can get this going. I mean, if we market it right as like I don't know, we'd have to like talk about a showcase and something like that, and then give people an opportunity to meet meet the coaches and the players after the game. Like if we can do something like that, I think the sky, that could bring in, 150,000, 175,000, 125 to 170,000. I'm just doing math off my head, so I'm probably wrong, but $175,000 that would definitely help out a school like us, from an NIL perspective. So like, come on, man. I think I'm not I don't want to rag on a marketing team. I don't want to do that because a lot of those folks have been very nice and they have reached out to me and they're interacting and stuff on Twitter and things like that, and they are genuinely trying. And I have also been briefed by some of the folks around the program to kind of give me insight on what they're up against. They have a very, very difficult job, and they barely have any resources to do some of the things that we're talking about. But I just look at it from a perspective of like, everybody says to me, well, hey, UTSA can't do some of these things that these big schools can do. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with all of that, is what I'll say. This particular thing, I think we could do. 1 second. One second. I got to give huge shout outs here. Shout out to JJ Perez, man. JJ, wow, 22, man, huge thank you, man. Huge thank you. This is big time. This is huge. Curious to hear your take on Lisa Campos' interview at Media Day. Appreciate your hustle. Stay grinding. I have to watch myself with the Lisa Campos thing because I have ticked off some folks. To be completely honest, I've ticked off some folks with regarding some of my comments on the whole UTS, the whole bit on some of this. I've ticked off some folks 100%. But what I'll say is, look, I'm going to be very, very generic with some of this because what I don't want to do is bring negative energy to the space just in general. But listen, I think she has a tough job that she has a tough job to do. I also think that there are some things that she's been talking about, and some of the things that she's got going on that is going to be beneficial to the program, and I'm excited about some of those things. But I still think at the end of the day, accountability is a big piece to it. And I think her and Coach Traylor's partnership in this whole thing is going to be hugely important. And I also think just in the embrace and the mentioning the embrace of NIL in that space is going to continue to be something that's going to be important. And regardless if I'm pissing people off or not, at the end of the day, like, my show is my show, and I'm not going to be muted by anybody. So yeah, we'll see. I'll go into something very specific, or more specific on the whole Lisa Campos thing, but I'll leave it at that for now, and then we can go from there. Let's see. Oh, we have another one. Man, you guys are showing love today. This is my wife, by the way. She hasn't updated her last name. Shout out to wifey. You could have just, YouTube's going to take a cut of that, so you could have just, but you know what? She's adding to it. I love it. Loving the energy. Today's a fun one. Let's see. Make sure you guys get those Venmos and Cash App's in. We got about 5 minutes before I pick the names, or I'm going to have someone else pick the names right now. So get those in. Let's see. We're going to do 4 people. We're going to do 4 people. All right. Perfect. So I'm getting those names. I'm having somebody check and look in the comments right now. And there's going to be 4 folks that we're going to pick. And then we go from there. Shout out to Roll Runner Hype. He gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, my guy. You are a legend. You are a legend, 100% legend. We got a lot of nice stuff coming in. Shout out to Desert Dweller Sports Network. Those are the guys I talked about earlier. Make sure you check them out for their sports almanac. Thanks for showing up to the show, man. Really appreciate it. All right, we got a lot of members coming in, so I got to prioritize their questions. Hello, Angela. Angela says, marketing idea. What about UTSA player trading cards? UT and some others offer them cool photo and players to 100%. That's doable to me. I think that's a doable thing. And I think like that's what I mean. Cool stuff like that. I am very much a person that is so okay with being a copycat. Like I'm so okay with being a copycat. 100%. And I think we should be looking at what these bigger schools are doing and saying, hey, how much of this stuff can we do? We have the cream of the crop from an NIL standpoint right up the road, or from a marketing standpoint, like screw NIL, just from a marketing standpoint, right up the road in Austin. Why aren't we taking a lot of what they do and trying to incorporate that in some of our marketing plans as well? And you say, like, well, we don't have the budget. Of course, I'm not saying that we should do all of it, but there are some things that they do that I don't think requires a lot of legwork and a lot of churn overall. I think some of it is just idea specific. Like one of the things we talked about before a couple of weeks ago or last week. How long did it take UTSA to put out a video about college football, the college football game? Right? That's an easy thing to do. You could have just took videos from some of the folks that that's an easy thing to do. And it took us a long time to even do that. Right. So I don't know, man, that to me is crazy. Albert, another member chat says, last year, the football team did a meet and greet and the amount of people that showed up was absurd. So I truly feel like an exhibition type game with a meet and greet would help tremendously. Me too. That's exactly what I'm saying. Obviously, to me, it would have been a slam dunk because you get guys in with, you get folks there because you get a view and a look at the position battle. Can you imagine how much buzz that would be created off of, hey, guess what? I seen Eddie Lee, I feel like he played better. Oh, guess what? I seen Owen, I feel like Owen played better. And I'm not saying you want to pit anybody against anybody. That's not at all what I'm saying at all from that standpoint. I just think that if I'm the marketing team, I want people talking. I want buzz. I want, that's what I want, right? Like that's kind of what I'm looking at. So anyway, that to me is what's most important. And I think we could have done something like that. Albert also says, they should be ready to sell merch and season tickets package there as well. 100%. You know how many people would buy season tickets if they were there and they get to go down there and shake Coach Traylor's hands after the game. And he says, hey man, buy a season ticket. You think, listen, there are people who are in this chat who have talked about, I'm not buying season tickets for XYZ reason. But if that opportunity was there and Coach Traylor is looking them dead in the face with, shaking hand in hand with you and say, hey man, go ahead and buy a season ticket. You can buy it right here. Just, scan this QR code and go to work. They sell so many. In my opinion. I could be crazy, but in my opinion. 210 Danny, shout out to Danny, man. Danny's a huge supporter. I really, really appreciate him. He is like super fast on the retweets though. My man is quick. He says season ticket starts at only $90 for the entire season. We need more fans in the dome to keep it loud and one of the toughest places to play in all of college football. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to Angela. She wants a stick of gum. Pogo says, how do I become a member? So look into, if you look into the description, if you look in the description of the video, there's a link. It is, it's youtube.com/@DarianStarling/join. That is how you do it. All right. So now it's time. All right. It's 1 hour. People didn't drop off. All right. So I have my 4 people that we're going to go with. So the winners are going to be, I got to find y'all in the chat. Okay. The first winner, I'm going to go 4 people. So it's going to be 25 people a piece. That's $100 in prizes today. The first winner we're going to announce is Caleb Garcia. Caleb Garcia, you will be getting $25 as soon as I close the show. So shout out to you. Let's see the next one. Oh, crap. I didn't mean to show that. You know what? Because I did that by accident and I put a name up there, I'm going to give out an extra 25. Shout out to Albert. Albert gets that. So it's going to be 125 in let me make sure I get that name correct. Because what's weird is my live chat stuff goes away if I don't get the name on here correct. So Albert is going to be the extra person. All right, we got 3 more. Next one is Max the Meme. Max Schwartz, congratulations, you get $25. All right, the next one is Hey Aubrey. I can't find Hey Aubrey. Here we go. No, we got him. You win $25 as well. And last but not least, Ramiro Frausto. $25 coming to all of you guys. Super excited about that. We got a new member. Shout out to MFT Ghosty. Huge shout out, man. I really, really appreciate you guys showing the love with the super chats and the memberships. Hopefully more is to come. We got a lot of stuff. I'm so excited. I can't get to a lot of the other stuff because I'm at time. I try to keep this stuff at an hour to not keep you guys all day. Shout out to Kermit. Big motion today. Yeah, man. I'm excited about the season. Like, my energy picks up naturally whenever we get close because I get to actually start talking about football and not freaking talking about NIL and money all the time. I'd rather talk football more than that, and we're able to do that now, so I'm super happy about that. I also want to give one last shout out to my partners over at 210 Apparel. If you check the description to the video, if you want 15% off, there's a code. It is Darian24. Use that code there. Get 15% off of all the merch from their store. I'm partnering with them guys this year for the apparel, so let's go from there. But appreciate you guys for being here. We're going to take this thing to the next level. We're going to have a lot of fun this year, so I'm so happy that you guys are with me, joining as members, and we're going to do this thing together. So peace out. See you guys next week.